Okay, we definitely gonna talk about it. But first, right? Last episode we talked about the protection effect, and then, as you know, I went MIA. Not intentionally, of course, but life happened. And honestly, a lot of life happened in that time. Okay. So it's been over a month since I recorded an episode, which is why the second episode of July never really dropped. Okay. But technically, life happened way before the July 14th episode even dropped, right? So I recorded that, I think June 29th, something like that, like the day before. So June 30th, I go into the dentist. I have a procedure. They take all my upper teeth. I got a denture, but bro, when I tell you I can't talk with this thing yet, I mean, I'll get my permanent one later. It's like a temporary one, but like I cannot talk with this thing at all. Like if I put it in, y'all probably would not understand nothing. Hold on, let's test that theory. It's been a minute. Mm-mm. See, I can't talk. Mm-mm. We're not doing it. So guess what? This is how we're doing it for the rest of the year until I get my permanent one, and then I can talk normal again. Because with that one, I don't know. It's just it don't fit right, so I can't talk. But anyway, I've been healing clearly, and not the. it was not the cute little healing I thought I was gonna have. I'm gonna be honest, like bro, so many things. I ended up like needing to be on pain meds a little longer than I wanted to. Like it was just. I do not recommend. They don't warn you what's gonna happen. They just tell you about what happens way down the line. They don't tell you about what happens in the in between, and I'm in the in between. Okay. So anyway, let me tell you, baby, no. Ugh. Okay. So I'm in pain. I'm going back and forth to appointments, right? Some of these extraction sites, they were taking their sweet ass time healing. Like, I'm trying to eat, sleep, work, figure out this whole denture thing. I still ain't got figured out. Okay. Basically, just trying to feel like myself again. Okay. I ain't even a month post op. Boom, July 24th happens. Okay. And you know what? I actually got something I could share with y'all. So let me pull that up right quick. Where's it at? There it is. All right. We're going to go in presentation mode. But before I do that, clearly, I got to share my screen. Dun, dun, dun. Share. Come on, share. Thank you. All right. So I'm waiting on it to come. There we go. All right. So, boom. The reason life happened is because you got me on one side, my youngest daughter on the other. Okay. So, both these pictures were taken earlier this year. We both been through some stuff since then. Okay. But let me tell you about it. First of all, just so y'all have a visual, healing takes time. Okay. This is me, procedure day. That's me, I don't know, like a week or so while I was still healing, like in the early stages, but not early enough that none of the complications showed up yet. Okay. But we're going to keep it over here for now while I talk. Because, yes, I got some visuals. Y'all seen a little snippet at the beginning, letting you know we was going to talk about it. But you ain't know this part about me, right? I was talking about my daughter in that one. So, anyway, right? I'm sitting there basically just trying to feel like myself again, healing going slowly. I don't know this denture thing, no nothing. But then, boom, July 24th. Cherysh has spilled something all over my bed. So I go to put the sheets and stuff in the wash, put her in her room for a second so I could change the sheets on my bed. When I tell you this girl has me have like 6 sets of sheets, I'm not playing. I swear I be washing like 3 of them every single day because it don't matter what she doing. She always making a mess on my bed and I gotta clean it up. So I put her in her room, threw the sheets in the wash. I didn't start the washer. I just threw them in there because I planned to start the washer after I made my bed because I know can't leave Cherish alone too long because that girl is a tornado. She quick. You don't know where the hell she gonna be. You put her somewhere 1 second, the next second she way on the other side of the house. Right? Context, context. Stick with me. So I'm putting the sheet on my bed and Literally, I kid you not, I barely got the fourth corner on. All of this took me about a minute. Throw the sheets in the wash, start putting other sheet on, right? So about a minute or two, right? Probably 2 minutes tops. But she was in her room when I started that process. So I'm like, she cool, she got her iPad, she'll be okay for a few minutes. I was wrong, clearly, because I forgot who my child was for a moment. And next thing you know, Janae knocking on my door, barely got the fourth corner of the sheet on the bed, right? Because I knew after that it was meds in bed for me and her. But Janae knocks on my door. Cherysh is bleeding. She's crying. She fell. What? What the heck? She was just in her room. All I did was put the sheets in the washer, came in here, tried to put a new sheet on the bed, and then boom. All right. She bleeding. I don't know if some of her teeth knocked out. I don't know what the hell's going on. But literally, mama mode. Straight up. Okay. So we go to the ER. We there for a couple hours. They check her out. Like no teeth was missing, but they got pushed up very deep into her gums. It was like two or three of her front teeth. Okay. Let me breathe for a minute because this is a lot, y'all. Okay. But so we in the ER. Suddenly my shit becomes background, right? I'm still healing. I'm still having complications, but my baby needs me. So boom, put me to the side and I'm like, let's go. Let's figure it out, right? Took her to the ER. They took a look, was like, oh, they're still there. They're just pushed up. They'll heal over time. Nothing needs stitches. We expect her to bleed throughout the night on and off. Don't be alarmed unless she starts gushing blood and you can't get it to stop or she becomes unresponsive. Like they basically told me what to look for, right? Okay, cool. We go home. Get home. So this is Friday, July 24th. The fall happened around maybe 11 something. By 2 a.m., we home, right? Thankfully, my bed was already made. Got her meds for the night, got her in bed, took mine, tried to get some sleep. Wake up the next day, she's still tired. So I'm like, oh, let me let her sleep. Just nudged her a little bit just to make sure she was moving, breathing, if she needed anything, because of course she was in my room. Just make sure she cool, right? She cool. I'm like, all right, let me take some time, decompress. She's all right. She's just resting. We had a late night. I expected her to sleep in late, right? Then the day keeps going on. I'm waking her up. She seems okay. She'll look at me, you know what I'm saying? And then she's tired, so she goes back to sleep. By like 4, 5 maybe in the afternoon, I'm like, all right, something ain't right. Like this isn't Cherysh. Like she should be up destroying things on her iPad, letting you know she's up, right? She's a little ball of energy. But she's still sleeping. So then I go get Janae and I tell her, I was like, help me wake up Cherysh, right? She picks her up. Cherysh is still like super drowsy. Then she sets her back down. She's like, she's okay. She woke up some. But then I see Cherysh start falling asleep again. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, something's not right. Like, we might need to take her in. So I'm getting ready to call the ER and speak to a nurse or whoever I gotta talk to, right? To kind of just let them know what's going on, make sure I'm not overreacting, like that it's okay that she's been sleeping like this and hasn't really woke up to eat or drink or anything, right? Of course, she's in pain. She just had a fall. Whew. Okay. Next thing you know, I kid you not, within the space of like 5 minutes, she starts having seizures. She ain't had a seizure in months. And I'm just like, but these are different. Okay. This is the type of seizure I have never saw before when it came to her. So I'm sitting there tweaking. I'm like, you know what? That's it. I ain't even about to call. Hung up the phone. I ain't even wait, right? Told them, let's go. Got Naya, got Janae. We got Cherysh, took her in the car. Back to the emergency room we go. Same one we was at the night before. Get there, let them know what's going on. This whole time, mind you, she's in and out of seizures the whole time. So at one point, in the middle of a street, I pulled into the middle part and me and Naya switched because Naya got her license. So I'm like, Naya, I'm gonna need you to drive. I'm going in the back with Cherysh. Janae, you go up front with Naya, right? Cool. Boom. We switched seats. Get to the ER. She still had a few seizures on the way. By then, I think we're up to like 5. Um, had already tried her little VNS magnet. Already gave her rescue meds. Nothing was really stopping these seizures. We get to the ER. We get into the triage or whatever, right? I tell them why we're here, what happened the night before, what's been happening that day. She hasn't really woke up. She started seizing, things like that, right? We get into the triage room. They're trying to get her vitals. She starts seizing again. So at that point, they like, fuck it, we'll get the vitals whenever. Boom, take us back to a room. Naya and Janae had went to park the car. They came back. They let them to the back, right? But for the first 5 minutes, I promise you, it felt like an hour at the time. But literally, when we get to the room, because the triage nurse, was like, hey, we need a room. Here's what's going on. We got to get her in. And we get to the room, and it's like 6 different medical professionals in there. And I'm like, fuck, this cannot be happening, right? Next thing I know, they get an IV. They over there trying to stop the seizures again. And they're like, well, what did you give her? I'm like, I tried her magnet. She has a VNS. That didn't work. I gave her rescue med. That hadn't worked. And they said, when's the last time you gave it? I said, right before we left, because that was like the second or third seizure. So I had gave her the rescue med because the magnet wasn't working. And it was like, when did this start? I was like, honestly, it took us 20 minutes to get here. So within the past 45 minutes, not that long, right? Like it was within an hour that we got there. And it's like half of that time was traveling, right? So they doing what they got to do. They're taking blood work. They got to do testing. They want to do imaging because, they didn't do this the night before. They just did like that visual physical exam, open their mouth, make sure nothing needed stitches, yada, yada, yada. So I'm sitting there, I'm tired, but I'm scared. My mouth is killing me at that moment. And I don't know like what 100% is happening. Like I'm sitting there trying to figure it out. I'm like, bro, how did we go from me changing my sheets to a second emergency room trip in less than 24 hours time? Like, what? I'm I don't know, right? I'm tripping. I'm like, bro, this cannot be happening. So anyway, long story short for the first part, right? We got to keep her. She got to be admitted. Don't know how long she's going to be there. Her face started swelling a little bit and don't really know why it started swelling. It just did because like, yeah, from the fall, her upper lip was already swole because that's where the trauma was kind of localized to. But then she starts getting swelling by her left eye. So they did CAT scan, which they had to put her to sleep for. They did well, they tried to do a lumbar puncture, but she wasn't having it. They did some meds through her IV. So eventually we were able to stop the seizures. I think when it was all said and done, she had somewhere between 15 to 20 seizures in a span of like, say, 6 hours before they finally subsided. Not normal for Cherish, okay? Not at all. So that shit is scary in and of itself. But all right, so let me tell you something. Let me just say this, okay? Life does not give a fuck about your scheduling commitments. I knew I needed to record another episode because it was supposed to be going out that week coming up, right? I had planned to do it over the weekend and then it would have came out Tuesday like it was supposed to, whatever day that was. July what? 28th, 28th. Okay. I was looking at my calendar because I was like, I don't know. But anyway, so July 28th, it would have came out on time. It probably would have only been about, my healing at that point. However, y'all already know it didn't work out like that. So she gets admitted. It's not until like almost 4 in the morning when we finally get upstairs to the pediatric unit, right? And I ain't gonna cry, bro. All right. So 4 in the morning, we finally get to the pediatric room. This is the room she's going to spend the next day or two in because at the time, that's what we thought, right? A day or two in and out, she'll be okay. We just need to make sure these seizures are under control. There's nothing we're missing. We did a blood culture. We got to wait for those results to come back. We did a urine culture. Got to wait for those results to come back. So, they want to monitor her. Plus, there's this swelling that none of us really understand, like, why it's starting, right? So, anyway, then I think the next morning, I can't say the next morning because it was still essentially the same day. So I would say later that afternoon, probably. They take her down for a CT again. Both times they're seeing the swelling, but they're not really sure. Like they see some sort of free fluid or something they called it in there, but they don't really know what. They do x-rays of her lungs just to make sure, she didn't aspirate and accidentally swallow a tooth or something, even though it looks like all of them are in place, aside from, the ones that were pushed up, right? Meaning like all of them were still actively in her mouth. Um, Everything is coming back fine. She spikes a fever and she kept that fever until July 26th. The highest it got, I think it was 102.6 or something. And mind you, they're taking rectal temperature. She's not a baby, but they need the more accurate reading because she has a fever. She's got this swelling. We know she has a mouth trauma. So while we're there, right? So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, those 3 days was pretty much watch and see specialists in and out. Neuro came and saw her. They got an EEG. Um, Doing all this tests. They're taking blood work again. They're doing additional CTs, X-rays, basically just trying to figure out what's going on. They brought in an oral surgery team. Dentistry had to come see her. Neuro had to come see her. ENT had to come see her. It was a whole mess, y'all. It was a whole mess. And that's a stressful enough situation in and of itself. Okay. When you got doctors coming in and out, you got your child hooked up to all these machines, you got wires coming everywhere. On top of that, we're adding EEG, so now there's wires coming all out her head. It's not something I would recommend. And you got nurses and doctors, like residents, attending specialists, all that constantly coming in and out. If any of y'all have had a loved one in the hospital or been in the hospital yourself, you know what I'm talking about. Like it ain't no time to rest. I'm still supposed to be healing, but my baby got priority. She got spotlight. It's all about her right now. You know what I'm saying? I got to make sure she's okay. And literally, like every time someone came in, I was told something, right? And then the next person comes in and I'm told something else. And then another person comes in and they got something else to say. And I'm just like, at some point, I think I'm losing my mind because how am I supposed to keep all this shit straight? So I start using the notes on my phone. I'm like, okay, if I just take notes when they're talking, I can remember. If I think of questions, I can ask them when they come back because I'm writing it down, right? But now I'm sitting here trying to talk to a doctor. They on limited time, right? Scroll through my notes to remember what did I have to ask this particular doctor. But it was taking too long. And I'm like, damn, where the fuck did it go? Like I'm getting stressed. I'm getting frustrated. I'm barely sleeping. I'm worried about Cherish because Cherish isn't Cherish, like at all. This little beautiful face right here, if I can, there it is. This little beautiful face right here, that is not the face I saw for the entire time I was there. I still haven't seen this little face yet, right? We're still not done. She's still healing. I'm still healing, right? So it was a lot. It was a lot to say the least. And when you're in a situation like that, there are so many things that are just out of your control. There's nothing you can do about it. You can feel helpless, right? You feel like you're losing your mind at times because you got all these different experts coming in and telling you different things, and some of it's conflicting, and you don't know which one you're supposed to listen to. And then you have this team that's supposed to be holding the big picture for you, right? And coordinating with the specialists and nursing and all those things and keeping you informed. And I've been in a lot of teaching hospitals, okay? I have zero against them. But I also know that just because something's a teaching hospital, that does not mean you don't communicate with one another. You don't communicate with the patient and or their family members, right? Especially when you have a minor patient. You got to communicate with the parent. The parent is the one who's making the decisions. And Cherish, y'all already know she's nonverbal. So when she got hurt, when she started swelling up, when she was seizing, she couldn't tell us what was going on. She couldn't tell us how she was feeling, where it hurt, what we could do to help her. Okay. And it's hard enough. Mm-mm. It's hard enough seeing someone you love, your child, in a hospital bed, okay? It's hard enough for that. But when they can't tell you how you can help make it better, whole nother ball game. I'm trying not to cry, y'all. Okay, let me breathe. I have no idea how long this episode is going to be. I'm gonna just say that now because I'm trying to get through this. So you know what? I might need to do a little bit of cliff notes, okay? Because it was a lot. It was a lot, and throughout this entire process, I'm trying to take notes on my phone. The problem with taking notes on your phone is that it becomes an endless scroll when you constantly got doctors and nurses coming in and out the room, in and out, checking, making sure she's okay, noticing when the swelling's increasing, the fever is getting higher, something's not right. And when your child doesn't have a voice, you got to have their voice. Did you think I wanted to be talking while I'm healing, while my mouth's hurting? Hell no. Mm-mm. Did I do it though? Yes. And that's why, like, in certain situations, you got to push through because you don't have a choice, right? So you got to push through. You can't just put your head in the sand and or whatever, right? And act like it's not happening. You got to speak for your child. You got to remind the care team that, yes, I understand y'all are rotating shifts. No one can be here 24/7, right? But we are. Y'all are changing shifts, but she's one child. She needs her care to be continuous, no matter who's overseeing her at that moment. All right, so I'm not going to keep this next slide on very long. Um, Honestly, I'll probably swipe through it kind of fast, but just be warned, okay? The face I want you to keep in your mind is this one. Same for that, right? Don't worry about me right now. I'll get back to that. But anyway, so that's me, right? Healing takes time. That was true for me, and it was true for her because the unexpected situations that we face can either define us or empower us, okay? That being said, I told you I was not staying on that side very long. In the middle of all this chaos, I found something amazing. Mind you, I was always looking at it to know who the nurse was, but it wasn't until I think the 28th or the 29th that I realized it was actually an underused resource. So this was the board the day after she was admitted. So she was admitted July 5th. Okay. We didn't go home until August 1st. Nobody planned for that. Right. But there's this underused resource. They always write the date. They always write the nurse and the patient care tech. Right. And then there's that just static message that says, welcome to 4C. That's a communication board. I'm using my phone for notes. What the hell? Wait. And I asked one nurse, I said, why doesn't anyone use this? Or no, I said, shouldn't we be putting stuff here so everybody knows what's going on? And she's like, oh, we don't use that. So y'all got a ginormous whiteboard sitting here with all of these spaces for all these things, and y'all only writing two things consistently: the date, the nurse's name for that day, and the patient care tech. The other message stays there clearly. Bro, I said, Naya, go to the store and get me some dry erase markers. Okay, we're gonna take this underused resource and it's about to be the communication command center. Okay, so I took over the damn whiteboard. So anything in black was them, right? So that's gonna be the date, nurse, patient care tech, and welcome to 4C. That is how the board looked before I sent Naya to the store. Okay, because I needed this bitch. I'm being honest. I cannot tell you how emotional I was, dude. Like, half the time when the doctors were coming in because something changed, right? They're like, oh, we're going to do this test. And then next thing you know, we're not going to do it. And then the next shift comes in, they're like, you're ready to go for the test. And I'm like, wait, what? When did that happen? There was a lot of those moments. I understood the need for the testing, but the problem was the fragmented communication. I understand things change, things evolve, right? But if you tell me you ordered a CT and then later that same day you told me CT doesn't want her to get a repeat one yet because of the radiation, they're worried about it, right? She just had one. Give it a minute. And then 2 o'clock in the morning comes and they're like, okay, we're going down to CT. Wait, what? When did that happen? It's not that I was against the test. It's just like I thought they wanted to wait and now they don't. So something changed, right? And then I fell all the way out the loop. So, this happened a lot, whether it was testing, whether it was the meds she was on to help with the pain, whether it was who was going to see her that day, who was handling her that night, whatever it was, right? It was always something. Something was always changing. And change is expected, right? But again, communication can make change easier. Okay. I'm going to say it like that. So, bruh, actually, you know what? Hold on 1 second because I'm about to add something. I'm doing it on my phone. The reason being, originally, I was going to show the clip at the beginning, but I think I got a better idea. So bear with me. Bear with me. We're gonna be quiet for a second because I gotta I gotta get the clip. And then when I get the clip, I'm about to add it to the presentation on my phone. Then I'm gonna have to reset it. Because I want y'all to see the clip I'm talking about. Because I did a clip and hold on. When did I do the clip? I think it was like July. No. It was the day we were gonna leave when I did the clip. Okay. So which one is it? I think it's in my phone. Oh, it's a Zoom clip. I'm tripping. Hold on. I might not be able to do it on my phone. See, I should have thought about this from the beginning. I mean, originally I was just gonna put it on there as I think I can still download it, right? Hold on. Because I was gonna put it in the beginning, but then I kind of wait, I don't think I can download it. I can download it to my computer though. Hold on. That I know I can do. So let me go here. I'm gonna use the 2 minute version because I did too, but I'm gonna just do the short one for this particular presentation. All right, where's Canva? There it is. Let me add it right quick. I got y'all. Look, see, we adapting in real time. Okay, so let's see. It's gonna go right after this one. So I'm gonna duplicate this, but I'm gonna take this away and that and that and that. All right, and then we about to upload. Yeah, I know. Yeah, y'all over here like, girl, why you do this in the beginning? Because originally I was planning it a different way. I was going to play the clip at the beginning, but then I changed my mind. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. I don't, and bro, when I tell you this stuff is a phone clip, you gonna see what I mean. All right. Let me see if it's in there. It is. Okay. Yeah, I know. Look, I adapted. I'm like, you know what? Let's just do the clip right now. Let's not try to put it on the beginning and then go into the episode because that's originally what I was gonna do. And I think I started the beginning of this one assuming that's what I was gonna do, and then clearly I just changed my mind mid episode, and I don't care because I just added it. So, all right, this is a clip I took the day we were getting discharged, and it kind of gives you a preview of what I'm going to be talking about in the episode, even though at this point we effectively almost done. Okay, so just here we go. Did I take the sound off? Hold on. I think I took the sound off. I did because I didn't want y'all to hear it originally while I was doing it. Okay, so how do I put the sound back on? Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, let's try this again. All right. We don't gotta watch the whole thing. But okay, first of all, let me just say, me reacting to me is something I never thought I would do. To be honest, like, but I knew I wanted to record a clip while we was actively in the hospital. And did that clip continue for another minute? Yeah. But you got the gist of what I was saying, right? There was a board. And that board was, oh, hold on, was this thing, the underused resource. This was all that was there originally. Okay. And look, this is Sunday, 7/26/26. So I knew it was there, but I didn't really start using it until the 29th after I had broke down. Oh, I want to say for like the fourth time that day. Well, since this day, I should say. Um, because I had this habit of getting so frustrated that nobody was communicating with one another, and it was on me to make sure everybody knew what was going on and remind them that just because y'all change shifts doesn't mean her care is supposed to change every time. Like everybody got an opinion. Cool. Y'all went to medical school. I didn't. But I got my medical degree in Cherish. Okay. I've been dealing with this child since the day she was born. Anything there is to know about her, I know it. Whether it's medically, whether it's personality, I know what her baseline is. I know when she's not acting right, even if she appears normal, right? I got all that history and all that context that these doctors didn't have. There was only one person on her care team that had saw her outside of that hospital setting, and that was her neurologist. Okay. So day one of taking control happened Wednesday, July 29th. I almost said June 29th. I'm tripping. Anyway, okay. So as you can see, I started taking that bitch over. Okay. I'm like, you know what? We got this whole ass communication board. Nobody want to use it. I bet. Had Naya go get the dry erase markers, and then boom, I started writing things. So it started like this. Okay. I just wrote down a few key facts. Naya put Apple on there for some weird reason. I don't even know why. I just had left it initial. I was like, you know what, let me organize this better. And then boom, right? I said how long she had been fever free, which was Sunday, right? The same day I realized there was an underused resource, but I thought my phone notes were going to suffice. And it wasn't until Wednesday that I realized, no, they're not. Okay. I started writing down the last time she got a med, what it was. I wrote down that morning when OMFS, which that's the oral surgery team, decided she was having her procedure that day because the area of swelling that they were worried about. Hold on, I'll show you. Right here. So as you can see in a lot of these pictures, like, all right, this was when we first got there. This one was this was actually the first night when she first fell, and this was the next day when she was seizing stuff. You could see she wasn't really up. She had minor swelling, but not a lot, right? And then it progressed. That's when they did the EEG. This is the day. You see oral surgery marked up kind of what they had to do. So all of this, bro, all of this, yeah, that's what they had to watch. It ended up turning into an abscess, which that's what they were worried about. And by Wednesday, July 29th, it was like, all right, this is what we've been waiting for. It happened. We said it might. That's why she's been here this whole time. So now we got to have surgery. Boom. Okay. So keep in mind, this whole time since she got admitted Saturday through Wednesday morning, right? Mind you, I was the one that noticed that the swelling looked different. I was taking pictures every day, tracking the progress of the swelling because sometimes her eye would be swollen shut, other times it was open, sometimes the swelling was in one spot, then it would spread. It was a whole thing that we were tracking. There was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of miscommunication, a lot of changes, and that board became my sanctuary. Realized she needed surgery. So you could see right here, OMFS procedure on July 29th. Mind you, it's the same day. Christina and Sean. By the way, Christina was the first non-K name nurse that we had the entire time we were there. All the nurses were joking about it. You know, it was a way for people to laugh and just because I promise you it was freaking Haiti, Caitlin, like, bro. Well, the first night it was Abigail and Coco, I think. Hold on. Yeah. So Sunday we had them temporarily. That was the first. Yeah, that was the first time we had a non-K nurse. Every other time it was K names, right? And then we get to Christina and Sean. Originally, I assumed Christina was with a K because of all the K names, so we joked about that. But you can see she ended up getting a procedure that day, right? The reason this board became so important is because I needed somewhere to look, okay, to know what the hell was happening, even though I was the only one writing on the board, right? In terms of plan of care, all right, they had this little static message up here, but nothing else. But look at all the places to write. Up here, you got her primary care physician. You got the date. You got the attending, the resident, the intern, the med student. These are all places that people should be putting their names. You got the nurse and the patient care tech. And if there's a student, most days there was not, I don't think we had a student at all on the nursing side. Then you got your admission, date and time. As you can see, I put the admission 7:25, but I put a question mark for the time because I know what the hell technically time it was when they admitted her. It was too much going on, right? Then you got the plan of care. One of the nurses told me what all this meant, but I just decided to leave it empty. You got patient and parent goals. You got patient and parent comments. You got the last respiratory therapy treatment, which she was getting that because she takes Dulera twice a day. Respiratory has to come and do it. But all these areas, right, where people can be writing what's going on. And we can all be on the same page, but when nobody using it until I started using it. Started writing shit down. Meds, how long she was fever free, because I needed something to celebrate at that moment, right? That's why I was at the top. Because, baby, when I tell you I needed something to hold on to get through this week, aside from the board, it was the fact that after Sunday, she didn't have a fever again. It was Sunday at 10:48 at night. And you know, nurses and doctors, they be on military time. So I would have the military time up there, but then I put, normal people time. Use the 12-hour clock. But anyway, so, I started writing down what's happening. They had, like, the day she was going to have surgery, they had brought a breakfast tray in. I was like, that got to go. She can't eat. She about to have surgery. So then I put NPO on the board because I've known that since, I can't even tell you when. I don't know. Maybe 15 years now that I've known it. 16, 17, something like that. Anyway, I know what it means. It means nothing per odds, which is basically you can't eat or drink, right? So I just put NPO because I know anybody in the medical field understood what that meant. Got the procedure. Now, during the procedure, something unexpected happened. Trying to put my mind in a different place for a second. During the procedure, she ended up needing to be intubated. This was not planned. She just wasn't breathing. Thankfully, she got through the procedure, right? But yeah, that was not planned. Also, because I need something to laugh about right now because of what I just said. This girl, I swear, she got this from my dad. My dad used to drive me nuts with this. She kept pulling out her IV when she would be awake. She pulled her IV out 3 or 4 separate times during this whole stay. Okay. And the time before the last time, so like the second or third time that she pulled it out, because once she pulled it out, they had to redo it. Then she pulled it out again. So then they started using the machine. They did like a deeper version. But they had to do it with like guided imaging or whatever. So a specialist, whatever, had to come and do it, right? Have the ultrasound machine or whatever, find the vein, make sure they get it in deep enough to hopefully prevent her from pulling it out, put a board, wrap her up. They called it Cobain, but we know it as sports wrap, that self-adhering stuff, put it over her IV, trying to keep her from pulling it out again. The morning that they said we were going to have the procedure because the swelling changed, she woke me up because she took her IV out again. She didn't care about that sports wrap. She didn't care about the board. She didn't care about the tape. She had the IV out. She was like, I'm done. I don't want this thing. The reason I say my dad taught her that, bro, is because I swear he did. That is exactly what he used to do all the time. He never wanted to keep his IV in. And Cherysh is like her papa, okay? Because she did not want to keep that thing in either. But all right, get through the procedure, right? Now we're on day 2. I was already expanding the board, right? So originally I had things here and then, I just switched up what was there, wrote the patient and parent goals, right? And here comes Katrina. We were back to the K's at that part, right? She was our overnight nurse. And overnight, she added something to the board. because that was something we had discussed. Like, okay, now that she got the procedure, it's behind us, she's able to eat. Like, can she take a shower? She wasn't sure. She had to ask. She wanted to double check. By the time she got the answer, we were already asleep. So she wrote it on the board for us. And you can see, likes to remove leads in IV. That was all me letting them know, hey, she will absolutely pull out whatever you're doing. It was a warning, a friendly warning to all of them, right? But Katrina goes, she can shower with a smiley face. When I tell you that made my day, because this board had became my life at this point, it was my lifeline in this craziness. My heart was so happy and it smiled. And that's why I got the little emoji right there, right? Because Nurse Katrina, for the win, she joined it. Okay. But during this whole time, let me be clear. All right. Through this whole thing, I was not sitting there thinking the entire time, ooh, look at me living protection first. That's not what my immediate thought was. My immediate thought was, it's a lot of chaos. There's nothing I can control. I don't know what's about to happen to my baby. Nobody's talking to one another. I can't keep everything straight in my head. Every time I try to talk to a doctor, I'm crying. I need some relief. That's what I was thinking. I needed relief in that moment. The board became that 100%. Okay. Like, bro, eventually I stopped tracking the meds. Like, that was, let me see, I think it's in the day one, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, Tylenol. At one point, I had Tylenol over here, Tylenol over here. At one point, I think it was like day 3, I had, or day, I don't know. Dude, days run into one another. But at some point, I had when she was alternating the meds. I think it was Wednesday going into Thursday originally. And then I just stopped putting that because I never really had an issue with when she was getting her meds. Once we finally got on the same page of here's when she gets her meds and what meds she's getting, we were cool. I ain't have to track that no more. I could let it go. It was running as it was supposed to, right? The system took over. I ain't have to hold it. So it came off the board. I kept the fever free because, again, needed something to keep me happy. But notice this one, Cherysh, comfy and safe. That was my whole goal, right? I could have been a petty Aries and been like, communication is key. But I didn't. I didn't. I didn't. Okay. I did not. They probably would have been like, B? No. But anyway, all right. So let's see. Katrina said she could shower. That was Thursday. We had a whole nother day, Friday, right? At some point, some more things got added to the board. I don't know when. But by Saturday morning, Cherysh had decided she had enough again of the damn IV and said, and took it out. Now, mind you, this whole time she was on IV antibiotics. We were trying to prevent an infection. And we went through 4 antibiotics. So in the ER, she got Rocephin. Then they gave her something else before we went upstairs. I still to this day don't know what that one was. Then they did this combo thing called Zosyn for a while. Then they switched her to something. I forgot what that one was. But then after surgery, they switched her back to Zosyn. So that's the one she was on the most during her stay. But they changed her antibiotic a few times because, again, all these tests were coming back and nobody knew what was going on. They just knew there's swelling. There's some free fluid in her face somewhere. We got to watch it because it can kind of harden and wall off. And then that's when we got to go in surgically and fix it, which they did. They put this drain in her mouth. It was a whole thing. So protection first did not mean that none of this shit happened. None of it was crazy. None of it was chaotic. It didn't mean I didn't have no breakdowns. Because if I'm being honest, I had a lot. I was snapping at people. I was crying. Like, y'all would have thought I was like 10 different people in one. That's how emotional that whole experience was for me. It had me on a roller coaster, and I went through a spectrum of emotions. There was times I got mad. I got ignorant. Right? Like when you know when you're talking to someone and you're trying to be like, look, I understand how this works. I understand things change. I'm simply asking for a basic communication. You have your opinion, this doctor has their opinion, but at some point, I don't care about opinions. I care about what's best for her, right? Me advocating. When you advocate, what happens is sometimes there's people who don't like that. And I'm not using any names, okay? I'm not. But sometimes people can't handle that. They take it as criticism when you're reminding them that the patient they're caring for is one person. And if you continuously change something and how they're being treated, what medications they're on, when they're getting them, how a certain medical situation is handled. You create instability. When someone is in the hospital, what is the condition that doctors use, the name, right? That lets you know they're okay. They say stable, not critical, stable, right? If we want to keep her stable, we got to smooth out the instability. The board was one way of doing that. Conversations was another. And some of those conversations did not go well when the ego enters the room. Okay. And in this particular one, I was so pissed because number one, I'm not telling you how to do your job. I don't have a medical degree. I'm simply reminding you that this is my child and she doesn't care about your shift change. If she's supposed to not get a certain med, because again, it was a situation where one doctor said, no, we're going to avoid that because we don't want to make things worse. And then the night doctor comes in and they're like, no, she can have it. And it's like, y'all got opinions. But the other doctor made a valid point because originally I thought, let's do this med. And that doctor was like, nah, let's not. Considering what's going on, we don't know if that's blood in there. We don't want to make it worse. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Let's just stick with that one then. Cool. Then the next doctor comes in and they're like, oh, no, actually, she can have that med. Wait. Before I let y'all do any of that, we're going to have to talk about this. So we were talking about it. I was explaining, like, every time I turn around, like, something changing. I was frustrated at that point. I had already called in a patient advocate, all the things, right? This lovely human being said, she's your patient. I said, she's my daughter. Yes, I snapped. Like, I was like, no, we're not doing that. She's like, you're right. I'm sorry. Cool. Continue. She got very defensive. She didn't like that. I didn't like that there was two conflicting medical opinions in one child. And I pointed that out. And the first time she said that, I just assumed it was an accident. She apologized. Cool, right? And then she started telling me who her supervisor was. I'm like, okay, so if that's the case, I'm going to just talk to her in the morning. Because by that time, I knew who the attending was. I seen her every morning. I was like, cool. So if y'all all got to pay attention to what she says, because y'all are residents, she's the attendant, I'm just going to go to her. Cool. In my mind, conversation over. Don't even worry about it. We'll do this medication for tonight, but I'm not letting her get that one, right? The second I said that, demeanor changed. Mind you, it was her suggestion for me to talk to the attending. I was like, you know what? All right, I will. I'll talk to her in the morning. Thank you. To me, the conversation was over. Actually, that's not my mom. I have my medical degree. Nobody said you didn't. How did this conversation just go this far left? And then she hit me with and you're worried about your patient. I'm like, my daughter, bro. My daughter. This is not my patient. It's my daughter. In my head, I had so much I wanted to say, but I didn't want to wake up my child. So I just went quiet for a little bit. Eventually, she left. I know y'all see my body language change because, bruh, to me, that was so disrespectful. And I don't like being disrespected. It brings a side of me out that I don't even like. But after that, she basically kept her distance 100%. And the next day, the day team, I think that was the first day, they came in periodically throughout the day to actually check on her, see if we needed anything, see how her care was going. And wholeheartedly, I think it's because, I said what I said the night before, and they talk. I don't care. Okay. At the end of the day, that's my child. Y'all gonna be paying attention to what she needs. You got your opinion, she got her opinion, he got his opinion. I don't care. One child, get on the same page. Period. That was all I was asking. But anyway, so somehow, somehow, we made it through all that. By the grace of God. It was a week. Okay. It was a week of hell. I'm just say it like that. All right. It wasn't all bad. Okay. It wasn't all bad. But there were a lot of ugh going on. So by by Thursday, surgery wanted her up and walking away the next day, or walking around, not walking away. So we got her up. She didn't want to walk, I'm be honest. She didn't really do much walking Thursday. So I was a little worried that she wasn't putting any weight on her legs, things like that. But by Friday, she had been eating and drinking again. She was coming back, right? We were starting to get our girl back. All right. Like Cherysh was she was letting you know she was being sassy. She was side-eyeing nurses when they would come in and doctors. When I tell you this girl was faking sleep sometimes, I swear. One time, and the nurse thought Cherysh did not like her. I was like, I promise you, she's just being sassy. She's over it. She's ready to go home. This was Friday, right? We got this started Saturday. But she was a sassy girl Friday, like all the way. Like the nurse would come in, or the patient tech, right? Because they got to do her vitals every 4 hours. And she looking at that patient care tech like, excuse you, you in my personal space. You interrupted me, because she had to get her blood pressure and her temperature and stuff. And then there were times when the nurse would come in and she knew it was either medication or she had to be hooked back up to the IV. The girl did not like the IV. My baby did not like that IV. So she gonna fake sleep. The nurse, mind you, the nurse hooked her up. And she was like, oh, she's asleep. And I'm over here like, no, she was just wide awake. Like, I don't know what she's doing. So then the nurse would look away, and then Cherysh would like move the blanket and peek behind her, because she had turned away from the nurse to see if the nurse was there, and then she would just cover back up and act like she was asleep. So then the nurse gets ready to leave. Cherysh takes the cover off of her and goes like this. The nurse went to peek back. Cherysh was like, I kid you not. And I was just like, what? And I told the nurse, I was like, do not take it personally. She's being sassy. Okay. She faking sleep. And this is why I said some of the stuff she was doing, bro, I swear it was my dad all over. It's the same stuff he used to do. Nurse or doctor come in and he know they want to talk to him, he gonna fake sleep, right? He got an IV and he tired of it, he pulling it out. Like, bro, it was deja vu, but that's my baby though, right? So Friday we go to Chick-fil-A. This girl has some Chick-fil-A nuggets. She didn't really eat the mac and cheese, but she ate the waffles. I'm not a huge the waffle fries, my bad. I'm not a huge fan of Chick-fil-A. I'm gonna be honest. The waffle fries are cool, but I mean, other places got waffle fries too, right? If we talking fries, I'm Checkers all day. That's one of my favorite places as far as fries go. I think Arby's is a close second. Other than that, everything else is kind of But waffle fries, I will get those from Arby's, Applebee's, whatever, right? Anyway, she ate, went to the gift shop, picked out a whole bunch of gifts for herself. And actually, Friday is the day that this picture was taken. So they had this little like outside section on her floor. And look, she was up, she was putting weight on her legs on Friday. She was doing much better. We had put her in her regular clothes, and it was like these little panda things that were out there. The waterfall wasn't on. They have like a dolphin waterfall that normally it's on. So even though we took her outside a couple times, she like it wasn't on, but at least the pandas was something she could look at. And she got up and she got close to him, and it was just she was getting back, right? She was getting back to her. So we were outside, we were moving around. And when she was feeling good enough, we went shopping. I took her to the gift shop. And this girl, she got a piggy bank. She got like multiple stuffed animals. They had all these like care bags, right? That like someone puts together and then they sell it. And one had Bluey and Bingo. So she picked that one out. It was a good day. After the hell we had been through for the whole week, it was a good day. She was up, she was walking around, she was in normal clothes, she was feeling like herself, even though she didn't fully look like herself, right? She was feeling like herself. And eventually we got to go home, right? And that was Saturday, August 1st. That's when we got discharged. And the second I found out we were going home, bro, I put it on the board. I put it on the board. You can see all this purple, all that's me. If it's black or looks kind of blue, so date, nurse, patient, care tech, welcome to 4C. That's the hospital. Everything else was literally me. So it was day 4 of controlling what I could control. And then we finally got discharged. And baby, I'm telling you, we celebrated. And she got a little shopping spree at Walmart that day too. So, but now we're healing. Now we're back in the swing of things. Now I'm finally getting an episode back out to y'all. And this is nothing like any of the other episodes, right? Like season one was introducing y'all to things and stuff like that. Season two originally we talked about the protection effect. I think this episode we were supposed to talk about discernment or something. And you see this episode got hijacked. But I think this is gonna be season two. I think season two needs to be protection first in action, right? Because up until now, most people were thinking of it from an accounting perspective. But this whole situation where I took control of what I could control, that was protection first in action. And they didn't have nothing to do with accounting, numbers, money, none of that. Remember when I told you being rich isn't a number? It's being resourced. Like that little whiteboard during that whole experience, that was my resource. That was the one resource I had available to me that was being underused. And I started making the most of it. And that has nothing to do with accounting or a balance in your bank account, right? It can be something as simple as in a chaotic situation where things are constantly changing, you find one place that can keep you grounded and centered. And that board was that for me. Okay. For from the second I started using it. Okay. But we still had to get the drain out the day. And we did. We were able to get it out bedside. So thank God she did not have to get put under again. I mean, when I tell you we had her wrapped like a burrito and it was a lot of us in there. And I mean, but the surgical resident that got it out did it so quick. If it wasn't for her, bro, we would have had to have another procedure and she would have had to stay there for another day, even though she took her IV out. But at that point, oral antibiotics for the next 7 days, which we just finished this past weekend, 3 times a day. Even though she was already on IV antibiotics for 7 days, she still had swelling, still has some. It's nowhere near where it was. She looks so much better. But she still, you can still see there's some swelling there. But she's home. She's doing better. I'm doing better, but I'm tired. I'm tired. I've been healing, helping her heal. We've been healing together at this point. I still ain't got the hang of these denture things. I don't know. Maybe next episode I might have more of the hang of it, but I don't know because it also be pushing my lip out and just I don't know. Honestly, like I said, I think this is exactly what season 2 is going to be moving forward. Like whenever we talk, right? Because we getting back on schedule. God willing, we're going to stick to the schedule, okay? But it's just going to be about protection first in life, right? Just seeing it in action in everyday life. And this situation had nothing to do with numbers. It had everything to do with what protection first teaches you, what FemFlow tells you. Take the pressure off of yourself and give it somewhere to land. And for me, that whiteboard is where it landed. That whiteboard kept me grounded and protected for the remainder of the stay because I was an emotional wreck, y'all. I'm telling you, I was ugly crying and everything. Like, ugh. But okay. Now that we got that out the way, I don't know what's coming next, but that's the whole point, right? Okay, we're just gonna live it. We're gonna see where it takes us. We're gonna talk about what actually happened since we last talked, right? The good shit, the ugly shit, what worked, what didn't, the messy, the clean, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? Because hello, this is the Femolution podcast, all right? I told y'all I'll be giving y'all the real, and I think this episode was probably an epic story time. Because if it was a TikTok story time, how many clips y'all think this would have took me? I think it probably would have took me like, let me be conservative, 100. If they're 30 seconds, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how long I've been recording, so I guess I can't really answer that, right? But anyways, all right, let me stop the share. Okay, anyways, season 2, I don't know where we going, but we going there together. Okay? And I'm telling y'all, like, thank God I've got through this past month. And what, 11 days? Since June 30th, July 30th, July 30th. This past month and 12 days, don't ask me to know how many days that is right now. Well, actually, it's what, 52? The accountant in me would not leave that alone. It's like, no, you know the number. No, 42. 42. Yeah, 42. Look, been through some shit, all right? So it ain't obvious. Anyway, I don't know where we're going, but we're going to be going somewhere. But I hope y'all come back because we're going to go there together. Bella Marie, get off my bed. Out of my room. My dog is in the room and she's on my bed. Bella, get off my bed now. Thank you. Go. Don't come over here. Go that way. Go. Thank you. All right. All right. All right. This was a crazy, crazy, but great story time episode. And if you don't take nothing else from this, okay, this is what I want you to take. Protect first, always. Why? Because if you can find something that keeps you centered and grounded and helps you release the pressure that's been built up inside you, focus on that. Build it up. Hell, start using FemFlow. I got a whole page on my website about it. Like, go to femsolutionsltd.com, look into it, right? Look at the founder finance glossary I got on there. I got a book called You Are Not the Backup Plan. It's like a little ebook. It's nothing crazy, right? It's just a guide. It's a protection first guide. That's what we're going to call it. But listen, start interacting with it. Start looking into the system, because I promise you, if you didn't see how this can expand to other areas of your life in this episode, I don't know what to tell you. Because this episode had nothing to do with finances, nothing to do with money, and everything to do with life happening back to back, where you're trying to heal and then you got to help someone else heal. And there's chaos in there, and you got to seize control somewhere. And that's what protection first is for, okay? It's not just a pretty name, it's a way of life. So go read You Are Not the Backup Plan. You understand what I mean. But in the meantime, right, if you're still the backup plan, then your system ain't protecting you, okay? And if your system ain't protecting you, then you gotta change the system. Welcome to the Fevolution, my friends. All right? The takeover has begun. Get ready to start using FemFlow, all right? But until next time, I want y'all to remember, protect first, profit second. Okay? I'll see y'all soon. Bye.